because you're force fed so much Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, like he doesn't even come to mind for most people. Welcome to the Platoon Baseball Podcast. I am joined by the lovely Jesse Paul. I'm Chris Sathi, and this is the first episode on base percentage. Let's go.
First episode. Gonna start things off with some trivia because who doesn't love trivia?
Marty liking this a lot, Jesse.
The question I have for you today,
Hmm.
the box score was first invented in what year?
The
So
box score.
the
Okay.
baseball box score first appeared in the newspaper in this year.
Well, first off, I'd just like to start by saying of one of my favorite memories growing up at my grandparents' house. I would go there for the summers. The newspaper would come. It's a little old for you kiddos out there, maybe you, Jesse.
I read the sports section
Okay,
growing up.
okay, I got you. But was going through all the different box scores because you just didn't get the same coverage we have today. Or
Well,
you had to wait for a Sports Center rerun to play to see all the scores.
yeah, and now it's just pull up whatever app you want and you're looking at any
Yeah.
statistic you want. And we'll get into some of those. Shout out to like Fangraphs and Baseball Savant, some crazy stuff on there.
Yeah. No, the guys who operate those are insane. They do a
Geniuses,
great job too.
geniuses.
But my guess for the trivia question, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say 1946.
You are so far off. And
Oh no.
this is a hard question, I'll admit that. I'll give you some hints here. I have
Is it
thing
is it give me a is
it's
it
way earlier.
way
But
earlier? Oh, okay.
I'll give you some hints here.
Okay.
Here's some things that happened in the same year.
Okay.
Minnesota, my home state, became a state in this
Okay.
year. Lincoln gave his famous House Divided speech, and the mason jar was patented. Just to give you some reference at what year we're talking about here.
Okay, I'm gonna change my answer from 1946 to 1862.
So close. 1858.
So the only reason I probably got ballpark is I was doing a little wiki search on good old Abe Lincoln the other day and saw when he was assassinated. So
Well, hey,
it
that's
paid off.
good
Yeah.
research.
Yeah.
Good research done by you there. 1858, first box score. So
That's crazy.
we're gonna get like throw it back to some like old statisticians to start this, not that far back. But shout out to Henry Chadwick for the first ever baseball box score.
Dog. Henry Chadwick, dog.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about one of the most important stats in modern baseball, on base percentage, also known as OBP. Kind of talk about its history and then some like notable moments throughout baseball history where OBP was used to change how baseball was played and how teams were constructed. So, what is OBP? MLB.com refers to how frequently a batter reaches base per plate appearance. The actual calculation is hits plus walks plus hit by pitch divided by at bats plus walks plus hit by pitch plus sacrifice flies. So all the things on the denominator there are just what a plate appearance is. Kind of a confusing stat when we actually look at all the little details that are built in. It doesn't count for errors, fielder's choice, fielder's obstruction, catcher's interference, or drop third strikes because those are not earned. So they're pretty much errors on the fielder. So we're not going to credit the hitter for the fielders messing up pretty much.
And this may be a little premature, but the big reason this stat came into place is because baseball statisticians didn't think guys who were getting walked were getting enough credit for getting on base and the offense that was generated after that.
Yeah.
So I think this played a key factor into, seeing what a hitter could really do outside of a power and contact, batting average, home runs, RBIs standpoint.
For sure. And I was just gonna ask you that base percentage versus batting average. You could have a guy hitting 280 with no walks versus a guy hitting 250 but's walking a ton. Are they is the 280 guy more valuable just because he has a higher batting average? And we'll kind of talk about why that's not true.
Okay. Yep.
So let's get into the early days of a OBP. First introduced by Alan Roth, who is huge baseball figure, statistician with the Brooklyn Dodgers from 1947 to 1964. He met with Branch Rickey, another big influence in baseball, who was the general manager of the Dodgers. And Roth pretty much gave him a proposal saying, these are some stats that I've come up with and I can track for your baseball team. Some of those stats included lefty righty splits, ballpark factors, runners in scoring position, and performance in different counts, which are all things that are pretty well known today. But, for the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, those were not even like thought of by
No,
anyone.
no, not at all. You were thinking about stats like how many home runs is Babe Ruth going to hit, or how many
Exactly.
RBIs did Lou Gehrig have
How
in
many
19?
stolen bases did Jackie Robinson get?
Yeah, exactly.
Because,
They kept it simple.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Roth is credited with inventing on base percentage. And he was kind of like the first big person to be like, this is more important than batting average. Like, just because they're not necessarily getting on base due to hits, they're getting on base. Like, what is the difference?
Yep.
Once the Dodgers moved to Los Angeles, he would actually attend spring trainings and meet with some of the players. And this is Alan Roth we're talking about. He'd give them a scouting report on themselves. He would say, this is some things you're doing good. This is some things you're doing bad. And here's the stats I have that I've been keeping track of to show you this is what I would do differently. That's not really something that was being done at the time. Everything was the eye test, kind of before, all these advanced stats started coming in. Um,
Jesse, did that get into, was that the beginning of scouting reports or no?
no,
Is that farther back?
the scouting reports were a thing well before this, but
Okay.
scouting reports were the eye test.
Gotcha.
Like you're watching a player, wow, his swing looks good. He's hitting this many home runs in whatever league he's playing in. It's not, oh, this guy's hitting lefties better than he's hitting righties. We could deploy him differently.
Sure.
So we'll get into that later, even in more detail. But one person that credited Roth with helping him turn his career around was Sandy Koufax. So after this meeting with Roth, Koufax goes on a dominant 6-year stretch where he wins three Cy Youngs, five NL ERA titles, through four no-hitters, and one of those being a perfect game. So if you
Wow.
want proof that his scouting reports were good, I mean we're not giving all the credit to Alan Roth here. Sandy Koufax threw gas,
Yeah.
but
Koufax, the man.
we're gonna give him some credit and say that, three Cy Youngs and some ERA titles are probably due to knowing how to pitch using your strengths and weaknesses.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of people today owe Alan Roth
Oh,
pour one
for
out for
sure.
the homie, I'm assuming.
Yeah, for sure. So Branch Rickey, the GM for the Dodgers, he would eventually become the manager of the Pirates. And his face kind of came out with OBP since him and Roth worked together. The article is called Goodbye to Some Old Baseball Ideas. So, kind of talking about that change from those old baseball ideas into the new world of stats. And this, at the time, it wasn't just OBP. It was like an offense, pitching, and defensive formulas. And today we know that as WAR. But I mean, these two were very ahead of their time in their way of thinking about the game.
I may have missed it in what you just said. Did you say Branch Rickey and Alan Roth did collude on this? They were
Yeah,
talking about, okay.
well,
Branch
Branch Rickey
hired,
hired Alan Roth
gotcha.
as the
At
statistician
for the Pirates.
for the Dodgers.
Or sorry,
But then their
Dodgers.
formula didn't come out until Branch Rickey was the manager of the Pirates.
Gotcha.
And the public didn't think this was important. It comes out in this magazine and they're talking about say goodbye to some of these ideas. They weren't using that to build teams still like Branch Rickey was.
Yeah, and I mean, even think about when did that article come out?
1954.
1954. So I would say even up until 10 years ago, nobody really cared about the other statistics.
For sure.
Fans, I'm sure from
For
a
sure.
internal MLB organization, they did care about these stats, but as a fan, and don't get me wrong, I was probably 15,
Yeah.
14 years old. I mean, I was like, what's his average? How many home runs did he hit? What's his RBI? That's all I cared about.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
And
it took a long time for those to finally get accepted by the baseball world.
absolutely. Some Branch Rickey fun facts. He kind of came up with the farm system idea in 1920s when he was with the Cardinals. They had minor league teams then, but they were independent. Rickey then would acquire these teams so he could sign players and have them start at a lower level and then work them up to the big leagues, which is what minor league teams are now. So crazy to think about one person deciding to do something and then the entire league catches on and it's like, wait, that's a great idea to develop players.
Yeah. Yeah, no, minor leagues are crazy if you think about it. I mean, there's probably at this point six different divisions of minor league players in baseball. And
Yeah,
if you were to compare that to the NFL, that doesn't, I mean, they have a practice squad, but that's not
that's it.
minor league. They're not
That's
developing
it.
talent down there.
Baseball more than any other sport. I mean, in other sports, you have the AHL for hockey, you
Sure.
have the G League for the NBA, but not every team is affiliated with several other minor league teams.
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
So,
baseball is the sport that takes on developing its young talent more than any of the core four league or
and
any of the other core three leagues.
part of that
So,
is because they get drafted so young.
yes.
They
Yep.
get drafted out of high school, 16 years old. They're signing,
Yeah.
like they're
For
getting drafted and signing these minor league contracts.
millions of dollar bonuses if you're drafted in the first round as a 16 to 8 year old.
Yeah,
It's just nuts to me. And especially, I mean, you see it a lot more in the world of NIL and players at that age and level getting paid. But imagine just getting drafted straight out of high school and the Rockies are like, here's an extra $7 million to go play
yeah,
single A ball for the
yeah,
next 2 years.
yeah.
You know?
It's couldn't be us, but
No, no. Hey, you never know.
yeah.
I'm still thinking about making a comeback.
So another thing Branch Rickey does, he kind of came up with spring training. We talked about how Alan Roth would go to these spring trainings. So when he's hired by the Dodgers in 42, it used to just be like, come for 2 weeks and we'll get you in shape. Now it's practices, it's fundamentals, it's scouting the players, like Alan, we talked about with Alan Roth. So in 1947, he leases this decommissioned naval base in Vero Beach, Florida, and they build baseball fields and they build practice facilities, and eventually it becomes known as Dodger Town.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Branch Rickey is also instrumental in Jackie Robinson's story.
He signed Jackie Robinson.
Okay, that's what I mean, the movie 42 is just kind of circling through my head right now
Yes,
in the beginning
yes.
of the movie.
That
Okay. Yeah,
that was my
okay.
next bullet point, but
Okay.
that shows you how much he did for baseball.
Yeah, okay.
So Dodger Town, we now aren't just running laps. We're now hitting in batting cages. We have hitting tees, even pitching machines.
Wow.
1947.
19 Jeez.
So,
How
you may
hard do you
not,
think that thing threw
I'm not
in
sure,
1947?
but I know they couldn't tune it to, recreate players' pitches like you can now.
There's no way it didn't just look like a catapult. Just
Yeah,
like a lacrosse throw coming in at you.
yeah, but hey, it worked.
Yeah.
So you now have these spring trainings where players are getting scouted and then they're getting assigned to what minor league team they're going to play for or the big leagues. And then, like you mentioned, he was also the manager of the Dodgers when Jackie Robinson signed his minor league contract to become a Montreal Royal.
And the
So,
Montreal Royals were the minor league team of the Dodgers.
of the Dodgers, well,
Okay.
a minor league team of the
A
Dodgers,
minor league
since there
team.
were
Gotcha.
multiple at the time.
Okay.
So we have all this going on through the 40s and 50s. OBP doesn't become an MLB statistic until 1984. So
Wow.
we talked about 1956. The public didn't think it was a good stat that they were going to use. It doesn't even become an official stat in the MLB until 1984 and still isn't really received well by the public.
This may be a better question for a different episode, but I'd be curious to see who decides what stats are honored by the MLB and what the
Yeah,
criteria has to meet to
yeah,
be submitted.
yeah. I mean, that would be great. I'm assuming for an MLB stat, like it's just like we're going to put this on our website and we're going to
Right.
put this on a broadcast.
Yeah, for
But are
sure.
they showing like WOBA stats on a broadcast or MLB website? We'll have
I,
to do some digging into that. But
I'm gonna say. if you dig deep
It's
enough, you might be able to find it, but the
it's
average, and we're still in a world where the average fan doesn't care
no,
about that
but
right
it's
now.
also I'm pretty sure it's not an MLB statistic.
Okay.
But these analysts are using these stats
Oh yeah, for sure.
just like the OBP. So
Yes.
maybe we see all these stats become official later. Maybe it's kind of the same trajectory as OBP.
Well, and I mean,
Um,
if you're, to be honest with you, I go straight to Fangraphs or Baseball Reference for stats, which I
yeah,
do believe has WOBA on there. So to
yes,
me, that's something I'm seeing consistently, but those who choose to use the MLB app are probably not seeing that.
I would agree with that. So 1984 becomes official. A lot of it due to a fella known as Bill James.
Bill James.
Bill James came up with this term sabermetrics, which is a super popular term now. Sabermetrics is an umbrella term for baseball analytics and the empirical analysis of sports in general, but it pretty much means based on evidence and statistics, not the eye test. So we have numbers providing value to people in the baseball community. This term comes from Society for American Baseball Research, so SABR, and then they just extended it to sabermetrics.
Gotcha.
We have some other example of early use of sabermetrics in baseball. Davey Johnson, a second baseman for the Orioles in the 70s, used an IBM system to write computer-based simulations to try to persuade his owner to let him bat second in the lineup.
That's that's dedication.
That is commitment, which
Yeah.
eventually gets you a general manager role in the MLB, which
Oh,
eventually happens.
absolutely. I bet as soon as he took that to his manager, he's like, he wasn't meant to be a second baseman.
Well,
He should be running the show. I don't know Davy Johnson's stats or what kind of career he
so
had,
I've
but
got him here.
if they must be pretty good if he's convincing the manager to bat second.
So his manager didn't listen, first of all.
Oh, okay. So he didn't accept the
Didn't let him bat second.
okay.
But in 1973, he had the most walks of his career. So his average goes down, but his OBP is way up. He gets 81
Mm,
walks in a season.
okay.
You know, his OBP at the time is 360 and 351, which
Wow.
are above league average for sure.
Yeah, I think
Um,
according to Fangraphs, that would put him in the you said 350?
360 and 351 in
Okay, so he'd be
70 and
right
71.
between the great and above average
There you
line
go.
there for Fangraphs.
There you go.
So,
So yeah, he did get 19th in MVP voting that year too as well, and he's not batting second in the lineup. And I will say they didn't have their best hitters at second. They had their guys who could get on base and steal bases on second. So that's probably part of it. But
where was he
um,
batting in the lineup?
that's a great question, but it had to have been lower,
I
obviously,
would
if he's
think
trying to move up to second.
yeah, I would think it's not between the 3 to 5 range either.
No,
I
it
would
had
think
to
it
have
had
been
to be
further
six
down.
or below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to find exact batting lineups from that long ago,
Yeah.
but way ahead of his time as far as like creating simulations to
Sure.
kind of show results. It's almost like an expected stat in a
Yep.
way.
Hmm. Yep. You see it a lot today, I believe. Correct
Judge
me if I'm
batting.
wrong. Judge is batting too as we speak.
Judge is batting too in the wild card series as we speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see a lot of good hitters batting second now
Now
instead of that.
Judge may be an exception. He's had a 330 average and a almost
Correct.
460 on base percentage.
Correct.
Currently the best hitter in the world, but still
Correct.
proves the point that on
Yeah,
base percentage plays a crucial role into where they are hitting in the lineup.
for sure. So we also have a guy named Craig G. Wright who worked with Davey Johnson for the Rangers. He's the first sabermetrician. That is his title.
I love that.
He later abandoned the title by saying the meaning has shifted too far from a scientific approach to baseball to one focused on statistical analysis of baseball. So he's working too much with the numbers and less on the scientific approach. So now he's saying that stats, they're just a tool. They're not the entire science behind the approach. And he would later work with the Diamondbacks to serve as an advisor to help them prepare for their draft. And we said that was 1999. And they ended up drafting a 40 home run player as well as another all-star. And those players were Tony Bautista and Damian Miller.
Okay. It's funny you bring this up too, because you still see teams struggle with this today. If you remember after the 2022 season when the Astros won the World Series, they fired their GM.
Yeah, I
They
mean that
they have
crazy.
advisors on within the Astros organization who believe that they were digging too deep into sabermetrics, and this was after they won a World Series and
Yeah,
decided to go a different direction. I mean, it
crazy.
just doesn't make any sense at all. So you still see old players and people in advisory roles struggle to accept that this is where the game is headed and it has science to back it, you know?
For sure. And you see a lot of fans of their teams not understanding decisions that their managers are making because they don't seem obvious. They're using stats that we've never seen before to
Yes.
figure out why their starting pitcher should be pulled in the third inning instead of letting him go to 100 pitches.
Or the guy they choose to bring in from the bullpen because of splits.
Yeah,
You
well,
know, there's
yeah,
so much that goes into it. If you were to go
for
on
sure.
Twitter, you would think every manager in baseball is the worst manager in the league.
Yeah, but yeah, so people aren't quite agreeing with stats or everything theory.
Yeah.
Then we have Sandy Alderson, who's the manager of the Oakland Athletics. Some of you might start seeing where we're headed with this. 1983 to 1997. He helps rebuild their minor league system there using some sabermetrics. And they would have three AL Rookie of the Years with these players that they've brought in, including Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, and Walt West. So, and they won a World Series in 1989.
Yep.
So them bringing in these farm system players using sabermetrics worked. And then tragically in 1995, Alderson's father-in-law, who was actually the owner of the A's, passes away.
Nepo baby.
Well, we won't say that. He won a World Series. But then comes this new ownership that says, you got to cut payroll. Like, we're not going to be able to pay these players. So now he's saying, okay, now we really have to use sabermetrics. How are we going to be able to build this team with one of the smallest payrolls in the MLB? And here it
Enter Brad
comes.
Pitt.
Enter Brad Pitt in Moneyball.
uh, Billy
So,
Bean. I'll give credit where it's due.
so
Billy
f-
Bean.
yes. So we're not going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk about the book
We
first.
okay. Can we talk about the movie at
We
some
could
point? I
for
got some
sure.
takes I need to fire
We could
off.
for sure talk about the
Okay.
movie.
All
So
right. After
first we
this.
have the book, which the movie's based on, called Moneyball: The Art of Winning an Unfair Game, written by Michael Lewis in 2003. The movie comes out 8 years later in 2011. So 2003, we have this author coming in saying that this game is unfair due to there being no hard cap and there's only luxury tax, also known as CBT, competitive balance tax, meaning that you can spend unlimited amount of money as an owner of a team. And we see this because in 2002, the A's have a budget of $41 million. It seems like a lot. That is the third cheapest payroll. The only teams that were lower are the Expos and the Rays.
I'd be interested to see what the lowest is in 2025. I'm
Yes.
assuming it's the A's still, to be honest, but I bet that number
I,
clears it by a decent amount.
the most expensive payroll at the time, any guesses? It's the Yankees.
Yeah, that I mean,
125 million compared to their 41 million.
we don't even want to know the payrolls today, do we?
Well, I'll tell you the payroll for the Athletics this year, 105 million.
Oh
So you
yeah.
have a payroll of 105 million today versus the Yankees 20
They've
years
almost made
ago,
it to the Yankees from 20 years
125
ago.
mil.
There you go.
So, but I will say the median payroll back then was 62 million in
Okay.
2002.
So they were closer to being at the average than the Yankees were. The Yankees were just
The
so
yep,
exponentially far ahead
this
of
is the
everyone
median.
else.
So more teams were sitting around that 62 million mark.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Yankees are double what the median is, and the Athletics are 20 million below it. So I don't want to make this out to be like the A's are this cheap team that's not paying their players at all, but they're way below the Yankees. Before the 2002 season, they lose three free agents. and many of you already know the story, but Jason Giambi, who won the AL MVP in 2000 and then got second in MVP voting in 2001. He also had an OBP of 477 during those 2 years. The league
That's
average is
insane.
342. They also lose Johnny Damon. Not incredible stats. I was kind of surprised looking back at it, but he did end up being like pretty crucial for the Red Sox to help them win a World Series in 2004.
Yep.
And then they also lose Jason Isringhausen, who was an all-star closer in 2000, 2.65 ERA. League average is 4.08.
That's crazy.
He is sitting 150 points almost below league average ERA, and he had 34 saves. So you lose these three free agents, and they still manage to finish with the second best record in the MLB behind the Yankees. They won 20 games in a row, which hadn't happened in the American League for 100 years. Their formula was OBP because OBP is cheap. Players like Scott Hatterberg, Jeremy Giambi, Jason Giambi's brother, and Kevin Youkilis are cheap, and they're not well-known players at the time, but they get on base. And that's like the most popular line from the movie. Why do we like this guy? He gets on base.
He gets on, and it's funny too because it's Brad Pitt who's playing Billy Bean and Jonah Hill, and I forget what is the. I don't want to miss a name here. Who does Jonah Hill play? What's his name again?
Yeah, it is the assistant. I want to say
Yeah,
it's Peter.
I do. I think it is Peter. I just don't remember his last name. But anyways, it's these two who are, in regard to the rest of the people sitting in the room, younger. It's a bunch of these old guys who just start throwing names on a board because they like the average, they like the home
It's
runs, the
it's not even
RBIs.
that. They say he's got a good face and his girlfriend is attractive. He's a confident guy. So
Yeah,
this is what baseball scouting is. It's Peter Brand, by the way.
Peter Brand. And I'm assuming that I hope that line was
Yeah,
exaggerated.
a
I
hundred
mean, I
percent,
wouldn't be
100%,
surprised if that's been a reason someone got signed before
100%.
either.
And
But
we'll get to the movie takes, but he gets on base. So
it's on base.
we have Scott Hatterberg, who transitions from a catcher to a first base,
It's not even that hard, Jesse.
a la Joe Mauer, I guess. So shoulder injury, can't throw. Well, who doesn't throw? First baseman tends to not throw. They sign him for a $950,000 one-year contract. He ends up having a 374 OBP.
Gets on
Again,
base.
above the league average for $950,000. Then you have Jeremy Giambi, who signs for just above $1 million. He hits 8 homers in 42 games, on base plus slugging of, or sorry, OBP of 390. And then they trade him away to shake up the roster. So that's a non-analytical move that
Yeah,
happens. So
true.
it's not, again, like we say, it's not all sabermetrics, but that's how they brought these players in. But this book turns OBP into a household stat. And proof for that is OBP appears on Topps baseball cards in 2004, a year after the book is released. So
Yep.
some obvious correlation there.
Hmm.
And then we see other teams use this strategy that the Athletics used, most notably the 2004 Red Sox.
I was thinking of some of the guys the '04 Red Sox brought in, like Kevin Millar and
Yep.
just
Um,
guys to that pedigree who get on base. They're not the flashiest, they're not the most exciting players in the world, but they got the job done, and obviously it paid off for the Red Sox in a
for
big
sure.
way.
And before we get away from the Red Sox, let's do some Moneyball movie takes.
Okay, yeah, yeah. You want to start or me?
I want to start.
Okay,
I
you go first.
I'm gonna quote a line, and I'm not gonna be able to say it fully for monetization reasons.
Okay.
But Billy Bean goes, or Brad Pitt in the movie says, "Why do we like this guy? He gets on base." Then one of the scouts turns to him and says, "You're not believing that Bill James bull crap, are you? Like, are you really falling trap to sabermetrics?" And I thought that was so funny that I didn't notice that the first time I watched it, but
Sure.
going back on it after doing some research, they're talking about sabermetrics and they're like, "No way we're using this." Like, you're really believing this guy's approach to baseball,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
obviously it worked.
Yeah, I did. I've never noticed that either. to be
They
honest.
they mention his name several times in the movie, which is awesome that they give him his credit.
Yeah.
Um, but I never noticed that before, and it's hilarious to hear
Yeah.
his name getting thrown in a Buddy Ball movie.
Yeah, that is funny. That's pretty good.
Yeah, another take I have is that it's just dramatized for entertainment purposes. That, like we mentioned before, the scouts are like drafting players based on who their girlfriend is and if the player has a nice jawline, which not sure how much truth there is behind that.
Now, I do have a question. Is there any truth to when they fired their head scout and he walked into the other room to the guy playing an MLB video game and said, "You're the new head of scouting"? Is there any truth to that? I need that one answered.
I hope so.
Me too. That's awesome. That's nails.
But yeah, it's over dramatized. The phone calls, like with trading players. I don't know if you trade a player and go like, who do we want? Jonah Hill, who should we trade for? I don't think that's
Peter
happening.
Brand, who do we want?
I don't think that's happening. I
You
think they're
know, honestly, it might. On the fly like that, who knows?
you just got to think that it's being planned out more than that. But
Because if you, so I'm going to take it to a different sport. The NFL on draft night when they're trading picks, and I know that's a lot different than players. It is kind of just on
for
the,
sure it is.
it's on the fly.
But I feel like you go into it knowing who the player's name is. Like in this, he's like, "Who's that guy? Like, give me someone else." Like
Yeah.
it's pretty
Well,
crazy,
well,
but
he didn't have to prepare when he had like a kid genius with Peter Brand
Peter
there.
Brand genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's another bone I have to pick with this. I don't know a ton about Peter Brand, but we talked about sabermetrics before Billy Bean was a thing. Like with the athletic organization.
Peter Brand is fictional. It is actually, he's the representation of real life
Oh,
baseball analyst Paul DePodesta.
yes.
So let's
Yes.
give we'll give Paul
Paul.
some credit
Yes.
here.
That I do remember reading that, and now that you say that, I feel dumb that we didn't get that right. But we talked about Sandy Alderson before Billy Bean.
Mhm.
Um, he was using sabermetrics, so it's not like this guy from a different organization came in and like introduced the idea. So that's kind of like a thing that's not very true in the movie.
Mhm.
But again, it's to make it dramatic. And this movie isn't just for baseball fans. You could not be a baseball fan and you would understand a lot of it. And it would be a great movie still as a
I,
non-baseball fan.
and this is not Moneyball related. Well, kind of Moneyball related. DePodesta later became a chief strategy officer for the Cleveland Browns,
Yes.
and
And he
he
still is.
helped. Yeah, he
He's
helped
still in the Browns organization.
facilitate the trade for Deshaun Watson.
Not sure how that's working out,
Does he
but
get on base?
he doesn't. But the problem is that's not, well, no, we won't get into the controversy of Deshaun Watson right
Yeah,
now,
that's
but
not the point of this.
but that's not sabermetric related. That's like personal stuff that can affect how a player plays. And that is part of this whole argument of why is this taking over? Why is sabermetrics the primary way we assemble rosters and trade players and sign players? So that's a good point that you bring that up. He's obviously not being very successful in
Yeah.
Cleveland. So you wonder how much of that like actually translates to other sports and if there's more personal humanistic elements behind performance.
Oh yeah, and 100%. I mean, you have to, as a general manager, you have to make sure people gel. You have to make sure, like you go listen to any of these teams who are successful. What's the first thing they tell you? They tell you the clubhouse is immaculate. Like everybody
Yes.
gets along. They do everything together.
You
It,
talk about players finding their love for the game because they played with this team and they have fun playing baseball every day.
yep,
Like that is
100%.
what creates like that winning culture. And you're right, it's not we know that it's not just stats now,
Yeah.
but these scouts for the A's are like, we're not believing in that Bill James stuff. Obviously, that stuff we know now is proven to be helpful. but it's not everything.
Yeah, guarantee you after that 2002 season the A's had, they were probably like, doesn't matter. We're going all OBP from here on out.
Yeah.
But I do have some takes on the film as well.
Yeah. Why don't you chime in?
Great film, tugs at the heartstrings. I'm just stuck in the middle. One of the big things, if you are a fan of baseball or were paying attention to baseball in that time, they just failed to mention that they had a rotation consisting of Tim Hudson, Barry Zito, and Mark Mulder. They also got to mention players like Miguel Tejada, who, correct me if I'm wrong, won the MVP in 2002.
And they're all mentioned in the movie, but very briefly. Tejada's probably mentioned the most out of the players you named, and
Yeah.
it's because like they're setting lineups, and obviously he's in
Yeah.
the lineup. They don't talk about how instrumental he is
Yeah. To
to
the
this
team.
20 game win streak and to their
Right.
second best AL record.
And I also want to give a little love to Eric Chavez. He was a stud too. Like these guys, they were not as bad. Like, how do I describe this? I shouldn't use the word bad. They were not a bad ball club. They didn't, it's not like they didn't have any star power in the room.
Yes, but I will say they were undervalued, which is the whole point
Oh,
of
for sure.
Moneyball.
Yeah,
Moneyball.
sure.
Moneyball is the finding those undervalued players, bringing them for less money than you'd pay to get those same stats and the same output. So, yes, they absolutely did not talk about these other players who are also undervalued. It's not like they don't fit the script of the movie, but they, like I said, for more dramatic purposes, don't talk about the best players on their team.
Yeah, and there's a few other things. Like they focused it so heavily along the offense and on base percentage approach. Like we're talking about a team that was defensively sound as well.
They were so defensively sound, they traded away their best first baseman to put in someone who didn't play good defense.
Yes,
They
like
trade away Pena, who
that
is a
doesn't
great
just
defensive player.
yes, that doesn't just happen if you guys aren't defensively sound. You're not
Absolutely.
That's not going to happen. And the last thing I'll say is Billy Bean and Art Howe. I mean, they made it seem like they hated each other.
Yeah.
that I, if you go look at any interviews with Billy Bean or Art Howe, that was not the case. In fact, Art Howe supported Billy Bean and the way he was going around.
Yeah.
I guarantee you there was some tension and there were some times when Art Howe was probably like, that's a little off the rails for my liking or what I'm used to.
For sure.
But it wasn't like you said earlier in the pod, like it was over dramatized
Yeah.
by a wide margin.
And shout out to Philip Seymour Hoffman, who played Art
Oh
Howe.
yeah, what
He
a
is
dog.
so good at that
He's so
movie.
good. What talk about a versatile actor.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's
Rip.
got the bald head for that one too. It's incredible.
Pour one out for the homie.
Yeah, that one's awesome. So this movie comes out in 2011. If you haven't seen it, sorry, we just spoiled everything, but you can go
You should
watch it.
watch it. You should watch it.
It's
It's a
so
great
good.
baseball movie. Yeah, you
Hot,
should watch it.
hot take, best sports movie of all time.
That is
That is a
a
hot take,
very hot take.
and it's close. Shout out Miracle, but it's right there.
I didn't see Miracle is clearly number one. I gave it my favorite movie rating today.
Okay, well, there you go. But 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm looking at it right here.
Oh
It's
wow, I
it's
didn't
a
realize it was that high.
phenomenal
Yeah.
movie. Like critics love it. The audience score is probably higher. It's like people
Oh
love that
yeah.
movie
No, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, something. I
for
mean,
sure. Or
go
read the
watch.
book and be a good person and learn
Don't.
something.
All right. We all know you're not going to read the book. Go watch the movie.
But incredible movie.
Yep.
Brad Pitt is incredible in that movie.
Yep.
Sorry, we're talking about the movie for so long. There's a scene where he goes in and talks to Art Howe, and he's like, "You got to start this guy," and then he walks out of the room and does this little strut. Like his acting is just the details are just so good.
Yep. Great film.
But now we're gonna get away from the athletics, and we're gonna talk about the 2004 Red Sox. We're gonna talk about another little film thing quick. If you haven't seen The Comeback, the 2004 Red Sox Netflix documentary, it's like 3 episodes, I believe. really good.
Incredible. It really gets into the it don't get me wrong, it talks about the star power that they had, but it
Yeah.
also gets into some of those undervalued players who played such a crucial role in them getting to the World
Yes.
Series and ultimately winning it in a four-game sweep over the Cardinals. So,
And might not be a bad idea to watch Moneyball first and then watch this. The timelines kind of overlap a little bit
mhm.
where because in the documentary about the Red Sox, it starts in like 2002. So it kind of perfectly overlaps as far as timeline goes. But John Henry hires Theo Epstein, who's the youngest general manager in the MLB at age 28. He preaches sabermetrics when he built his eventual championship team in Boston and later Chicago. But he also incorporated factors like we mentioned, team culture and these other humanistic values. So that's kind of like the modern day example of how it's still used. Yes, we take stats into account. We find undervalued players, but they have to fit into our team culture. They have to put in the work. They have to, get along with the fellows. It's more than just does he get on base?
Yeah, I think speaking of the comeback, something that I forget about all the time, and I think it's such a I guess it doesn't need to be talked about at this point in time, but it just the fact that Manny Ramirez was there was a trade in place for him and A-Rod.
They announced it on the news, but it didn't go through. Like this was
Yes.
a trade that
Can
unofficially happened.
what would baseball look like if A-Rod would have been a Red Sox versus a Yankee?
Well, I'll be
And
honest,
Manny getting shipped away to Texas.
I don't think it changes much
I don't
because
know.
the Red Sox, well, the Yankees maybe don't have as much of a legacy to them because you have one of the best defensive third basemen. Well, he was a shortstop, but he moves positions for Jeter.
Yep.
One of the better left side of the infield defenders of all time, who is on their leaderboard for like postseason home runs and like a whole bunch of accolades. So maybe the Yankees don't have as much of a legacy. Maybe the Red Sox are a little better, but the Yankees haven't beat the Red Sox in a playoff series since Aaron Boone walked it off.
Shout out Aaron Boone.
So
Speaking of that, let me get you a score update.
yeah, that'd be great. I'm gonna continue into like the modern day OBP. How do we look at it now post Moneyball?
It is 4-3 Yankees, top of the ninth.
Well, it's looking like it's gonna be game three.
So it so just a fun stat about today, with it being the playoffs just starting in this new wild card series format. The first game today, which was the Guardians Tigers, that's just the third time that there's been a forced game three.
Yes. So
And yeah, at this point, every game that's been played so far today, if the Yankees pull this one out, will have forced a game three. So I'm glad to see that
yeah.
getting to game three is happening, because we were at a point where, oh, this is just turning into a two game sweep and it's over.
Yeah, so pre this year, 10 of 12 games were decided in two games. Or
Yeah,
10 of 12
that
series were decided in two games.
I'm glad we're seeing a shift in those numbers this year.
Yeah. So let's talk about like modern day OBP and some other stats. So now we
Okay.
have OBP being baked into other stats such as on base plus slugging, OPS, weighted on base average, WOBA, and WAR, wins above replacement. There's no such thing as market inefficiency. Players with high OBP are expensive. People that used to not value for getting on base now cost money, which is why we kind of see like a level playing field as far as undervalued players go. And different organizations have their spin on what an undervalued player is. Do players that bunt give you an additional value that other teams aren't seeing? Do players that like specialize in platooning give you more value? Now we're moving into new stats.
Let why don't I stop you right there and ask you, give me your top undervalued player in the league right now.
Oh my gosh. And
If you can.
my opinion's going to be so biased being a Blue Jays fan and them having an incredible season. Miles Straw, maybe? Miles Straw didn't play in the MLB last year. He comes over to the Blue Jays not expecting to have a huge part. The Blue Jays are projected to get last in their division. and he's a backup center fielder to Dalton Varsho, who is one of the best defensive center fielders in the game. Dalton Varsho goes down with an injury, and Miles Straw steps in. Those two players, Dalton Varsho and Miles Straw, played half of the season each, let's say. They both are like top five in defensive runs saved for center fielders. How insane is that to play half a season and still be like top five in a statistic? That's not an average.
Yeah,
So
100%.
players like that can add that defensive value while also having a good batting average while runners are in scoring position. And that's a stat that some people say isn't replicable, like it's just luck. But I'm convinced that when there's guys on second and third, that there are players who will step up and have a better average with runners in scoring position. And he's one of those guys. And he has dropped down so many sack bunts, hits when it matters, and he's stealing bases. He's putting pressure on defenses. Like those aren't things that can really be recorded as stats, but his effect on a ball game is definitely undervalued.
No, I like that a lot because even with your bias, you're 100% correct. I mean,
Yeah.
those are guys that add value. For me, the first guy that always comes up when we talk about undervalued players, Jose Ramirez.
Oh, Hall of Famer,
Hall
future
of
Hall of
Famer,
Famer,
and nobody talks
guaranteed,
about him.
guaranteed Hall of
Like he
Famer.
just is casually putting up probably north of 350 OBP every year,
Yeah.
is being the reason. I mean, I'll not afraid to say that he put the Guardian because you're force fed so much Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. Like he doesn't even come to mind for most people. I in the league.
No, and
When go ahead. No, yeah,
I
that's all I had to say.
I agree with that, and I I would argue that on the offensive side, that's for sure true. They do have, Class A. They have like some of the best like pitching
Oh, for sure.
staff.
I'm not. I don't want to. I didn't want it to come off as he does
Yes.
everything for them. But
Yes.
in terms of what Jose Ramirez has done throughout his career, for what he gets credit for and gets put on all these, when you think of the best players in the MLB, because you're force fed so much Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, like he doesn't even come to mind for most people.
Yeah. And so I pulled him up the stats here. His last OBP under 350 was in 2019.
Yeah. How many games did he play in 2019?
129.
Okay, so it was pretty
Yeah.
75%.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty typical. And then the next season, 2020, he gets some MVP votes. So,
Shortened year, but still.
yes. Yes.
Okay, nice.
But he's almost batting 300 with a 386 OBP. And his
That
OPS is just shy of 1,000 points.
yeah, no,
So,
he's
yeah,
I think severely undervalued,
for
but
sure. For sure.
what a stud. Yeah.
So, going back to OBP specifically, we kind of talked about how OBP is such a well-renowned stat now. Current examples, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Vladimir Guerrero, top three in OBP, both last year and this year. So you have consistent players being the top in OBP. They also slug, some more than others,
Mhm.
but they can slug and still have a high OBP. So I want to talk about why being patient benefits you not just as to get on base, but as a hitter to hit more home runs.
Boo, boring. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
That
kidding.
is the argument. But I have,
I'm also waiting for you to. I'm just curious if Mr. George is going to get talked about at all today.
well, he's on my screen here. I'm sh
Okay.
currently sharing a Baseball Savant page of batting run value. This is pitches over the heart, run value. Aaron Judge pitches down the middle, best run value in the MLB. Not surprising. You give
Shocker.
Judge a
Yeah.
pitch down the middle, he's going to hit it hard. On this list, you see Aaron Judge, George Springer, Kyle Schwarber, Shohei Ohtani, Byron Buxton, Junior Caminero, Eugenio Suarez, players you would expect to hit the ball hard when the pitch is over the middle. However, when you look at chase rate, he doesn't chase.
Who's he?
Aaron Judge,
Aaron Judge.
Juan Soto. Juan Soto has the most run value created on pitches just off the plate, considered the chase zone.
Guess what his average is, Jesse? What do you think his average is?
It's not great. It's not great.
263.
Yeah. I mean, well above average, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's so interesting that Juan Soto is also second in pitches on the edge of the zone. So not only is he seeing pitches that are breaking away from the zone, he's hitting the pitches that are on the edge.
And
And
is that Ketel Marte in front of
Ketel
him?
Marte is in first as far
Okay.
as pitches on the edge.
And I think another thing that this is, and where is Judge on that? Is Judge on that list?
Judge is like 100th, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
He's
I
109th.
think, this stat or this section of the baseball savant, is that how you say it?
Yep,
Savant?
yep.
Um shows to shows you what elite hitters are facing. Like, of course, Juan Soto and Ketel Marte are being pitched outside, and you said on the corners,
It's
or what is?
shadow, so it's the edges of the strike zone.
Yeah, I mean that's why they are as valuable as they are because they can drive any pitch where they want to.
Yeah. But
That's and this is just a key example of that. Except Judge, apparently Judge can't.
so here's my argument for Judge. There's arguments on how good pitchers are. So there's this thing on Twitter going around saying that if a pitcher throws a ball straight down the middle, doesn't matter what the pitch is, that is a better pitch than missing the strike zone. And the reason for that is hitters aren't very consistent. They
100%. Yeah.
don't hit, even when they do hit the ball hard, it might be at somebody, but often it's a foul or it's a ball in play that half the time results in an out and half the time does get down. But if you're missing the strike zone, you're then forced to either, okay, now I got to settle down and throw a strike, which is where you get this ball over the heart number. So Judge is doing such a good job laying off those outside pitches. He will take strikes on the black because he
Yeah.
knows the pitcher can't keep doing that, or most pitchers at least.
And that's a really good point. My pitching coach in high school, he had a saying. He would always ask us, what's the best pitch in baseball? You want to take a stab?
The best pitch in baseball, the one that isn't a free ball.
Strike one.
Yeah, strike
You know
one.
what the second best pitch is?
Strike two, I would guess.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
Throwing strikes matters.
throwing strikes matters, but if you're not throwing strikes, these players are going to say, okay, you can either walk me or throw me one down the middle because you have to throw a strike now.
And what's even more impressive about Aaron Judge is uh, when you talk about a player's size
Oh,
and
shit.
sheer zone that he has
Yeah.
to deal with. I
And
mean,
that may
it's
be part of
humongous.
the shadow stat being so low.
Yeah.
Balls at his knees, he's probably not hitting as much as Jose Altuve, but it's I think that's part of his game plan is to say, okay, if you throw me one down the middle, I'm going to hit it hard. If you throw me one on the edge, I'm probably going to take it and force you to throw me more strikes.
Yeah. I would say that's probably correct.
So, but then I wanted to talk about Juan Soto, who's quite the opposite. He doesn't hit the ball when it's down the middle, but he hits the ball on the edge. Like, do you have any reason for that? I mean, he's not even on my list. Oh, sorry, 78. 78th on pitches down the middle.
And that's so strange to me because when you think of Juan Soto, you think of a guy who gets on base. Well, you look at his average, it's not all from hits.
It's a lot of it's
S-
not from hits.
Exactly. So, and for a guy who walks a lot, it's surprising to see he's not making better contact on it. Pitches right down the middle
Yeah, not necessarily contact, but
or
run value.
run value down the middle and excels more at the pitches on the
Well,
in the shadow.
he has 127 walks this
Yeah.
season, which I'm fairly certain leads the majors. It
I
does by
believe it does. I
3.
believe it's him and Judge right there at the
Judge is
top.
124, but
Yep,
Soto doesn't get intentionally walked very often, like Judge does, but
correct.
he still ends up with more walks
Yeah.
because he's just so patient. So yeah, I think it's interesting that you have two different players who are patient, but one of them says, "Throw me one down the middle and I'm gonna crush it. Those pitches on the edge, I'm gonna take." Soto's like, I'm gonna be patient all the time. You might throw me one down the middle and I'm not even gonna hit it, but somehow I'm gonna get you out of the zone."
And I think what you're probably seeing with Soto is the opposite of what you said earlier, right? Batters are inconsistent, but so are pitchers.
For sure.
And if they're not throwing him good pitches right away, and he's be able to get ahead in a hitter's count, he may be swinging at more of those pitches that he can or that are in the shadow because those are the best pitches he's seen because they're trying to stay away from him.
Yeah. He does have like he's like fourth in home runs this year, I believe. Fifth in home
It-
runs. So it's not like he's not hitting the ball hard.
mhm.
He's a slugger, but his average is low. He's either kind of hacking for the fences or he's like, okay, I'll take my base.
Yeah. Yep.
So not the same approach that Judge has. Judge is just so strong that he's gonna swing normal and the balls are gonna go out, or he might miss it and it'll be a double or a single.
And I think another piece of that is, we talk about where you're hitting in the lineup. And if it's a situation, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Juan Soto was hitting two a lot this year as well.
Correct.
It just is really so dependent on where they're at in the game, how many people are on base,
Yes.
game situation. Like if if nobody's on base, I'm assuming they're gonna attack more. But that doesn't seem to be the case for Soto.
No, Soto just finds a way and he fouls off a lot of pitches to his credit, where he's not getting run value on these foul offs, but he's extending his at bats. He's making pitchers throw more pitches,
Quality AB.
quality ABs. So that leads me to my next question. Maybe not one of those three guys if possible, but who's like your OBP guy that you think of? Maybe an old one and then a new one?
Well, instead of old, can I give you a guy who retired maybe a year or two ago?
Yeah, I mean that's older.
Joey Votto.
Sure.
Joey Votto was always on base.
Yeah.
Knew his zone so well. I mean, just a fun guy to watch. I mean, his 2010, I believe it was 2010 MVP season was incredible, dude. It was probably around 410 would be my guess. I was
409,
just
you're
I was
one.
just no, I was messing with you. You already had it pulled up. I'm just kidding. I'm
But
just kidding.
409 OBP is insane.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I just really enjoyed watching Joey Votto hit. He was a guy when we were just talking about quality at bats. I mean, that dude was the king of quality ABs.
Yeah.
So,
409, that OBP.
and then
That's
a guy who we're gonna go bias here. I mean, I just love Lance Berkman. I felt like when
sure.
I was growing up, the Astros were terrible, and Lance Berkman was always on base, just sitting there. I don't think he ever got his runs are probably shit,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Switch hitter too, which we haven't really talked
yeah,
about yet today, but his OBP is 406, so just
yeah. I mean,
point zero three points
yeah.
below Joey
hmm
Votto. Those are two good ones.
What about you? Who do you think
Um,
of?
Modern
I know who
day,
your current one is.
give me George Springer. He's been so good this year. Some crazy stats for players like above the age of 35, like a pretty unheard of season for someone
Yep.
his age. He is second in OBP at 399.
I would guess this is his best year statistically from an on-base percentage.
It is his best year statistically in almost every category of his
Okay,
career, obviously
gotcha.
besides the postseason numbers, because he hasn't really gotten that experience with Toronto. He will this year, hopefully. But almost 400. He was point zero 0.01 points away from finishing with a 400 OBP season, which
How
is pretty
crazy.
rare for current day players.
And not to take away from the great season George Springer had, but the difference between him and Judge is
It's like
it's
60 points. It's
it's
a lot.
crazy, dude.
And that's largely due to the intentional walks
Sure.
as well. But not to take credit away from Judge. He's got
Hey, there's a
incredible vision
reason
as
you're
well.
getting intentionally walked. Like
Yes,
that's credit to Judge.
absolutely. And then my old one is going to be the all-time leader in OBP,
Teddy.
Teddy, Teddy Williams.
Teddy. I
Yeah,
believe
he's
Ted has one of those stats where like he played for 4 years, went to the army for 3 years during World War II, came back and still just dominated
yeah,
baseball.
I mean, he's an all-time great,
Yeah.
obviously. Career OBP of 482.
How
So
ridiculous is that?
way above like Judge's prime season. 482 career
Yeah,
OBP.
it's
Over
incredible.
2,000 walks.
It's crazy to me too. I guess I don't know how many career. I'm a little ignorant on how long Ted Williams played, but to see him not in the 3,000 hit club, kind of that pops out to me.
He played for quite a long time. He played
Yeah,
21 years, 21 seasons.
but nonetheless, 482 career OBP
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, you look at his average. His average is really good, which does surprise me that he's not in. Well, he has 2,654 career hits, so
Hmm.
not like that's a number to snark at or anything, but
No, not at all. But just when you think of Ted Williams, I guarantee you, I would say 75% of people would say, yeah, he's in the 3,000 hit club.
well, part of that is due to it's over
Where's
2,000
the
walks.
that's true. That's a really good point, actually. Where's the absence in his career? Where does he leave for? Okay, you see it right there, 19.
42, yeah, which is when World War II started.
Yeah.
So
So think about the potential there.
he, well, yeah,
He would have been 100%. He
yeah,
would have been in the
because
300 hit
yeah, because he'd
or
have
3,000 hit
three
club.
more seasons of let's say 150 plus hits. So
Yeah.
yeah,
He'd probably, you could
that's a good point.
argue, what was he averaging home runs a year? About 30, you'd say?
Yeah,
So
between
what?
like 10 and 43. So
So another, he'd be at 600 homers probably.
it would be close. I mean, if we don't, it would be close. I
And
don't know.
what about RBIs? Does it show that one too? Sorry,
Yeah,
yours is a
he's
little
got
timid.
almost 2,000. He would have been
I
probably 2,000 RBIs.
I don't remember is it Willie or Hank? I think Hank holds the record. Hank Aaron RBI record. 2,297. So I mean he would be
He's close.
right there
Yeah, for sure.
potentially. So
Yeah,
Ted
for sure.
Williams, great career, great
Oh,
name
the
in
OBP
baseball.
guy.
And if we can ever unfreeze people and get them back alive, he'll be one of those guys who comes back because they froze his body.
Yeah, that's a little freaky
I
to
would,
me, but
can you imagine Teddy's like, is the hell is a pitch clock?
yeah. Oh, lots of changes. Speaking of changes, I think next episode we're being forced to talk about ABS.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
New rule came in, if you're unaware, automatic balls and strikes system coming into the MLB starting for the 2026 season. So I think we're going to talk about how that changes things. Maybe gives the catcher a little less value, maybe gives the veteran pitchers a little less value.
I Well, we'll save it for the episode.
Yeah,
I got
we'll
some
save
good
it for the
stuff for
episode.
that. But yeah, that's is that it? We got
That
any more trivia or anything?
that's it for episode
Okay.
1. Follow us on Twitter at Platoon Baseball. We're gonna probably start posting like stats, videos of plays, and we'd like feedback, like what episodes you guys want to see. But yeah, just a way to get some more engagement and be able to talk about more baseball,
More ball.
more ball. All right,
Ball
well,
knowers. I think
we
that's what I'm calling our fans now. They're gonna be ball knowers.
all
There
right.
you go.
So ABS, stay tuned.
Deuces.
See ya.